welcome back to the Candy Kingdom with Lace and Misty. The Candy Kingdom is a podcast for littles and bigs, where we provide resources and support and a safe space to learn together. So sit back, grab your sippy, stuffy and patsy, and let's play! Hi, welcome back to the Candy Kingdom with Lace and Misty. Thanks for tuning in. We've got lots of fun stuff in store today. We are going to follow our discussion about burnout with an episode on drop, and we'll probably dip into aftercare as well, since they're very closely related. This is a really tough subject. In fact, we recorded it late because we were both in the middle of drop ourselves, so we've got lots of relevant tips and tricks for it. It is a huge topic. By no means we are, experts, and nor will we be able to cover everything, but we'll provide as many resources as possible, and we hope that this is useful in some way to others that go through this. So before we jump into that, it's episode 11. Yay!
Yay! And Lace is back.
Yay, I'm back. I've crawled out of my drop cave. But yeah, we thought instead of talking about news, we could do a bit of reflection on the podcast so far, and I guess sort of, expectations versus reality. So Misty, why don't you start us off with that?
Okay, well, when we first started this, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I have so many ideas, and actually talking about the episodes, I didn't realize how much, research and time we would have to put in.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then my nerves are also cooling down a bit more. Like in episode 1, I was like shaking. I was like,
you
really
were.
I'm freaking out. And she's just like, just relax.
I guess because I've got a lot of experience, not in this sort of podcasting thing, but in general with sound recording, because I've got a background with music. So for me, it was like, we're just recording a thing and doing a thing. It's no big deal. And you were like, I'm freaking out.
What if it's terrible?
What if no one likes it? And I'm like, but we like it, and that's what matters. So
exactly, yeah. So that goes in with the high expectations and putting pressure on myself. But I've just been refocusing on our main goal, which is education, and I'm realizing that we're seriously only like 2.5 months in, so I need to chill. I need to just calm the heck down.
Yeah, your farm is at like a 10. I need your farm to be at like a 4.
We've also discovered so much stuff through research and interacting with new people, which is really exciting. Because we've just been trying to chat with people to say, hey, this is what we're doing if you're interested. And I've discovered a lot, and it's definitely fun. I look forward to recording as much as we are sometimes late, but that's just because of life and brain trolls and all of that stuff. But and bantering with Lace, because she's like my other half. It's really nice. I mean, we were already close, obviously, before we started this, but because we're spending so much time together with planning and all of that, we've gotten closer, and that makes me happy.
I think we are essentially very, very similar people in lots and lots of different ways. So we think the same, but we also complement each other in with things that you're good at that I'm not good at, and vice versa. So I think that makes it really easy. But we just have a lot of fun, and I like that. It's probably the best thing about the podcast is the fun aspect. But also there's a resource that we can offer to people, and I do regularly. I'm like, oh, we did an episode on this. Flick the link. Oh, yes, I have a resource about this. Pazing, go over here. So it's really nice to have, because I've always wanted that, when I've been interacting with other littles and been like, oh, I wish I could give you a checklist for vetting, but it doesn't exist. So we just went, made it. So I think it's been really cool to make the resource that I desperately have wanted for such a long time. So.
I know, and I feel like we're both just like, it doesn't exist. Let's do something about it now. Yeah, so what about you?
Well, maybe it did exist, but we just couldn't find it. So.
Potentially.
Yeah.
What reflections do you have?
So like I said, I wasn't very nervous necessarily at the beginning. I was just ready to I guess I didn't know what to expect because I've never been involved in like marketing something like this before. And I mean, I still don't know anything about that because I don't do that.
Yeah.
Because that's all on you because you're so savvy at that sort of thing. I guess it's been really cool for me to do, because I do a lot of the graphic design elements and like editing and kind of the nerd for the podcast. So it's been really cool for me to kind of get into that sort of routine and I guess experiment with different apps and programs for this sort of development. And I guess also we're in the kind of throes at the moment of looking at, okay, we've had a bit of time, we've settled into our content, we've got our platform, we like what we're doing, let's now add things to it. So looking, with our the Stardew Valley, which is really fun and gives us an excuse to play Stardew Valley when you're not banned from it. So
hey, they don't need to know about that.
Okay. But also, we're looking at extending the YouTube channel and doing some cool stuff with that too. So, and just, I guess, incorporating other passions. So I think it's been a really cool outlet for me and I'm looking forward to moving forward with it and, adding more to it and working with some new creative people to kind of improve the platform and
make things pretty. You are the prettifier.
Yeah. Huh?
You are the prettifier. You just make everything pretty and nice.
Oh, thank you. And then you're like, hey, people, look at the pretty nice thing that this person made. And I'm like crying in the corner like, oh, my art. Oh, God. So like, yeah, you're a bit more brazen and I guess have a lot more confidence. I guess that's one of the big things about you that I really admire is that you're so confident. Just be like, yo, I've done this thing. You should pay attention to it.
Hey, the worst thing to do is say no. Like, honestly.
Oh, exactly. I know. But I just am so shy about that kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, I made a thing. You can listen to it if you want. Whereas you're like, listen to it.
Hey, here's the link. Listen to it and tell me exactly what you think. I want a summary. With references.
Oh, mate. Yeah. So yeah, no, good. It's been good times. Very good times.
Cool, awesome.
So I guess conversely, let's now talk about some bad times, and we'll switch into our conversation about Drop.
Yep. So I guess first we should talk about what Drop is.
Yeah.
So Drop is basically like the thing that happens after the high of playing. And it's an actual chemical, physiological thing that happens.
Yes.
Because while you're playing, whatever you might be doing, because one of the misconceptions that I saw were while I was researching was that, it only happens after intense play. And I don't necessarily agree with that at all. No. I know that it happens even in non-kink situations. Like, say you go on holidays and you've had this amazing holiday booked and you've hyped it the whole time, and then it happens and you come back from it and you're back to your reality. Like, you can definitely drop in non-kink situations.
Yeah, exactly. It's also the same sort of thing as with postnatal depression, post-wedding blues as well, which is another one that people can suffer. Anytime where you've had like an extended period of a really happy emotion where your body is producing a lot of dopamine, endorphins and serotonin, and then all of a sudden it's not, you fall down, from that, and you can kind of go a bit the other way as well. So it's sort of like a pendulum in that sense. It's physical symptoms. It can be mental and emotional symptoms. It can be different for different people. Often it is.
Yes. And both tops/doms and bottoms/submissives can have this happen. A lot of the times we focus more on the submissives than the bottoms, which is fair enough because they're the ones usually getting most of the impact or the rope or whatever it is that's happening. But it can definitely also happen to the people that are enacting these things. So we need to pay attention to that too.
Somebody explained it to me quite well, actually, a while ago. Well, inadvertently. So they were talking to me about impact play, and they were like, I don't, just impact play with anybody, and I encourage other subs, and this was a top talking, not to just impact play with anybody, because what can happen is you have to be able to build that person back up and make them feel like a human again.
Yeah.
A lot of the time with the type of impact play that person's involved in, it's a lot of degradation as well, and humiliation. So, you know, they've got to be able to know that you're equipped to then rebuild that person, and also be equipped enough in yourself to be able to rebuild yourself, because, you know, a lot of the time tops feel like a monster. You know, how can I do those things to somebody that I purport to love? And it's like, oh, that's right, this is just, you know, thing that we choose to do together. So it's like, it's not just about the submissives going through this huge cathartic experience, it's also the tops
putting them through it.
yeah, exactly.
And wondering why do I like doing that?
What's wrong with me? Am I a bad person?
Exactly. And the other thing I want to talk about is that you need to kind of watch for it, because it doesn't always happen immediately. It can be delayed. It can be fluctuating. So one minute you're feeling like, oh, I'm totally over this, and then the next day you're feeling down in the dumps again.
Usually for me, it's like the next day.
Yeah, same here.
Or even 2 days after.
Yeah, it can be a little bit delayed. And sometimes I just think to myself, what is going on? Why am I feeling this way? And then I'm like, like the penny drops. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did these super intense things that made me feel really good at the time. But now, you know, I'm coming off of that. And I think it's an important part of RAC as well, which is risk-aware and consensual kink, and safe, sane, and consensual, obviously. But you just need to know that that's a risk of partaking in this play. And, you know, your brain is actually making these chemicals all of the time anyway, but then it just... It's just the fact that it gets rushed and overloaded with them, and it feels really, really good, but then all of them go away at the same time. That's literally what is happening. So I don't want people to think that we're saying, oh, I don't play because you'll get these endorphins and then you'll drop. No. Not at all.
It's kind of a necessary evil, I think. So there are ways that you can mitigate that, which we'll talk about in a second. But what I think, so we've described kind of what a top might feel. Yeah. But that's not my strength. I don't think I've ever felt top drop, really. So
I've never topped anyone.
But I'm very good at talking about sub drop. So let's talk about that for a while. So Misty, if you feel comfortable to share, what sort of things do you experience when you're going through your sub drop?
Yep. Okay, so Leek, I have physical symptoms most of the time. Okay, look, I love sleep, y'all. I've mentioned this before, but when I'm going through drop, it's like I have no energy whatsoever. I just want to sleep all of the time. So that's like my most common physical symptom. And then with mental and emotional, that comes through a little bit more for me. So that tends to me just feeling demotivated. I get overly sensitive, and I start to feel, I guess because of my situation in which my daddy is not available physically afterwards. He goes home to his family. I start to feel like my feelings of rejection and self-judgment become more heightened.
Just as a caveat, in case people haven't listened to the other episodes, your situation is a completely open poly situation in which the wife and him are consenting and aware and enthusiastic about the situation. So just in case you think something else, just want to double check that, make sure everyone's on the same page with what Misty's situation is.
Yes, fair enough. I always am assuming everyone's like me and they just binge watch or binge listen to podcasts. But yeah, those are mostly my emotional symptoms. I think I also get a bit annoyed more quickly, or just overwhelmed more quickly as well. And I'm just like, I'm over this. I don't care. I'm just gonna, you're like, whatever.
I find that I think I know that you're in drop when you're like, hey Lays, so can we just play Stardew Valley and drink wine, please? And I'm like, oh, okay, we need to do that, do we? Okay, let's do that then.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, those are some of my my things that are happening. What about you? What do you kind of notice for yourself?
Well, it's really interesting, actually. So my play situation is that I have a rigger that I tie with regularly, and we are not in a romantic situation. It's purely platonic. And we actually just started talking about this really seriously in the last week. So it's a really timely topic for me. So with rope, obviously, there's a lot of tight binding and a lot of it's very physical. So afterwards, my immediate thing I need to do after a play is just to kind of rest at the party. And then when I get home, I need to drink a lot of water. I need to take anti-inflammatories because sometimes it can flare up some of my conditions. And then over the next few days, I can find myself just feeling drained, as you say, just really tired and kind of like... I get very woe is me, like, oh, this sucks, I'm terrible at this, I'm the worst at that, I just can't figure out why I hate everything. And Misty's like, girl, have you had some chocolate recently? And I'm like that? And she's like, And so it was actually, I think it was you who, because I haven't really, like, I've been tying with this person for a while, but it hasn't been the kind of tying and that kind of connection where I've really experienced drop up until sort of recently, where we've gotten a bit more, I guess, intense. Ties have become a little bit more intense. Yeah, and the connections become, the more that you spend time with somebody, the more intense it can get. So, but right at the beginning, I didn't recognize it for what it was. And I'm like, I'm just a depressed piece of shit. And Misty's like, I just don't think that's what it is. Didn't you go to a party like 2 days ago? And I'm like, so? And she's like, well, the obvious conclusion is that you're an idiot and you need to take better care of yourself. So that's really a helpful thing about having someone as brazen and as, like, just straight to the point as Misty as a friend, because she just doesn't even, like, take any shit. So
I'm not doing it on purpose. I literally just don't have that. Because I've done Okay, can I tell a quick story about, like, why I'm the worst person ever?
Oh, okay.
So I was just at work and, like, I just become very focused on what I'm doing. And this lady, I'm talking to her and I'm like, oh, have you got this paperwork for me? And she's just like, I'm so sorry. No, I don't have. I haven't come into work. My son's been in the hospital. And I was just like, oh, okay, no worries. Just get it done when you can.
Oh, God, Missy.
I know. And then, like... we kept talking, and then 5 minutes later I was like, oh crap, yeah, so is your son okay?
Oh God. You forgot about the whole empathy thing for a second.
Forgot. I was just so focused. I was like, where the hell is my paperwork? It was so I'm honestly not doing it on purpose. I just get this thing where I'm just...
And we're so similar as people. We kind of forget about people are squishy. And you need to be gentle with them sometimes. I guess. Yeah, anyway. So that's my sort of thing. Very similar to you. I think you and I have really similar sorts of drop experiences where we're just like, no, I'm going to play Stardew Valley for 6 days immediately from now on, and I'm not going to work, and I'm not doing anything.
No, so nothing. I'm ordering food. I'm not cooking nothing. Everything's gross in my house. I'm not cleaning it.
Who needs to have a shower? Okay, I haven't left the house. I can just wear pajamas for like 3 days straight. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So I guess then to go forward from this, because obviously, even though I'm a big believer in emotions have a purpose, even the negative ones, it is important to kind of mitigate at least the severity of this. So I guess we wanted to talk a little bit about what can we do, not that you can ever prevent emotions.
It's going to happen.
And it would be, and it would be a bit unhealthy if you didn't have some kind of swing back, because that's the nature of how chemicals and the brain works.
Yeah.
But what are some things we can do to mitigate the severity?
Do you remember that meme? It was like, okay, so like when the memes just started and it was like, anyway, douchebag brain was a meme. Do you remember douchebag brain?
Douchebag whom?
Douchebag brain. It was a meme about
yes, the brain, and it's a picture of the brain with that
that hat on
meme background, and it's got the hat of the douchebag guy at the party. Yes.
Listen, children, although if you're an actual child, do not listen to this podcast. Turn it off.
Yes,
but
side there.
18-year-olds, back in our day, memes came with a standard format.
They did. They had to have like licensing. You had to submit it within 3 to 5 business days, and like, yeah, it wasn't just as easy as just like drop a
Surprise
bomb on Facebook.
Pikachu.
Like, yeah, no, we had to put effort into our memes. They had to have a system. They had to have a theme. They had to be a part of a collection.
The white text on the top, and then the like
white
punch
text at the
line.
bottom.
Yeah, the punch
Yeah.
line.
Exactly. Memes were just like, they were a lot more intellectual than the kind of memes we have.
No, they weren't.
Nah, they weren't. They were just as garbage. They just were more formulaic. I feel like today's memes are more free range.
They're just so
random.
random.
Memes were like battery memes.
Yeah. Anyway. Douchebag brain is a thing. Yes. One of the things that I think is really important is just recognizing when you're dropping. It's really helpful when you have a friend, like Lee says, who's kind of like, hey.
Who knows you well enough.
They're like, something's not right. Have you been doing some stuff that would be causing your brain to like be withdrawing from all of those feel-good chemicals?
Yeah.
So that's really helpful as well. And then honestly, we're a bit oblivious because sometimes it's like putting 2 and 2 together and you get 5 and you're like not working out what's happening. But just, you know, kind of think about it before you play. Just know that you're going to drop.
And so prevention is really important.
Yeah.
Preparing for dropping is really important. So I like to make sure I've got plenty of good food at home, and things that make me feel good. So essential oils close by, incense, soft, clean clothes. Make sure I have a really good shower after the party and wash off everything and get into some clean pajamas and like just, you know, have a day the next day that's really low key with a lot of activities that make me feel good, like baking and comfort food, do a little bit of meal prepping and stuff. Just like, I guess, making sure that the way you would take care of somebody who's sick, that's the kind of level of preparation that I would do.
And then the other thing that I actually learned from my first dynamic, again, it was a poly dynamic, but it was myself and another little sharing a daddy, but they lived together and they were 2.5 hours away. So I had to drive, do that 2.5 hour drive and spend the whole weekend with them. And then I'd get back and it would be, you know, like 5 p.m. on Sunday. And that's like my whole day gone. So
ultimate crash time.
So what I learned in that dynamic was to prepare to drop. So I know that there are certain things that make me more upset when I'm in a crappy mental state and I don't have the energy to fix them, but then they continue to make me spiral. So like having my room or my space messy was one of those things. So if I came back and my room was like torn up, I didn't have any clean clothes or anything like you said, I didn't have any food prepared, it wasn't a nice place to come back to. So then before I would leave, I would do all of those things so that when I came back in that kind of crappy headspace, you'd
be supported by your environment.
Exactly. So I would have the environment that makes me feel good. So that would lessen some of it as well. So that's kind of similar to what I spoke about in one episode where I was, you know, dropping and I was talking to Daddy and he was like, he gave me a phone call and that's
right.
Yeah, it gave me enough energy and enough feel good stuff to then clean my room and do laundry, which then led to me doing X, Y, and Z. So something like that as well.
And it's different for different people. Some people don't thrive in a clean environment, so that might not be applicable to you.
They want a homey environment.
Yeah. So I guess it's about finding the things that make you feel good when you're feeling sad and to organize them in advance so that they're easy to access is a big part of it. Another thing that is really valuable is aftercare.
Yes.
If you can, from your partner.
So aftercare is, well, we thought we were going to do a whole episode on it, but I don't know if I shouldn't speak too soon. We might end up deciding that, we want to go more into depth with it. But aftercare is exactly what it sounds like. It's the care after you've played. And again, it goes both ways. It is not just, I see so many ideas, and as a service submissive, I guess, I want more information on how to care for my top or my dom as well. After we play.
Because a lot of the time they don't think about it as well. Like top, so like I need to be self-sufficient. I need to be stoic. I need to be there and hold my little up. And it's like, well, how can you do that when your foundations are very weak?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're not self-caring at all for yourself too.
Or asking. They don't even have to self-care. They can ask for care from their person as well. It's a two-way
It's as
street.
easy as like, hey, I just flogged you for a half an hour. My arm is tired. Could you just give me a little rub? And it's like, yes, I can.
Yeah.
You know, or put Voltaren or something, or icy hot or deep heat, or like a muscle rub. It could be, hey, I feel really just like I'm struggling mentally with what I just did.
Yeah.
Can you just reassure me? Like, are we okay? How are you feeling? And,
it's everything you wanted. Like what went. And I'm dipping into a little bit as well of the debrief after you play. You know, talk about what went well, what you really enjoyed. It's not about lying or anything to try to make the other person feel better. It's just about this is the reality of what happened, and I enjoyed it, or, you know, this could have been different. Honestly, during debriefing, I end up laughing a lot because playing is just like anything else, and it's just like sex, where things that you thought were going to be great weren't so great, or something funny happens in the moment, but you you just kind of keep going. But then afterwards you're like, oh my god, when you like hit yourself in the balls with the flogger, that was hilarious.
Or when like you accidentally farted or something. That's not happened to me, but like, you know, you have to prepare yourself for the eventuality that funny things
are gonna happen. And that's a good time to just, you know, get that happening and just.
I mean, recently with my rigger, and I'm sure he won't mind me sharing this, you know, he's one of the countless tops that have never had any kind of aftercare, and his situation is that he is married, and you know, we don't have that kind of emotional connection, and a lot of the time for me the aftercare is an emotional connection sort of thing, you know, cuddles and sort of I guess just leaning on that person for support, and I said to him, you know, I don't know if you'd be capable of giving me the aftercare that I need. So therefore I was going to sort of explore the idea of getting it from somebody else. And he's like, well, what about, you know, the top, you know, when you go home out, because I'm a nana, I go home really early from the party. I'm like, well, we're done. See ya. Not straight away, but like, you know, I do tend to go home pretty early. And he's like, oh, when you leave, I feel really like flat and energyless, and I could go home and I feel like crap, and I'm like, well, why don't you tell me this, and you know, I can stay around a bit longer, or we can, you know, go out to dinner something after, or like, you know, something. And so we both realized that we weren't getting aftercare and we needed it, and I think it was more of a revelation for him than like I knew, and I thought going into the situation I might be okay because there was no emotional connection in terms of romantic emotional connection. There's definitely emotional connection, it's just not, it's platonic. I thought that I'd be like, I guess, impervious to it, but not even a little bit. It's exactly the same. So, you know, we talked about that recently, and I mean, I have somebody who kind of is a very close friend of mine, and she kind of jumps in and just like makes sure I've got water, gives me like shoulder massage, and gives me something to eat, and just cares for me, gentle soft touches and stuff. But you know, we'll be moving towards me getting more of that from my rigger, because we had a conversation with his wife about it, and she's like, you're stupid for thinking that I would be uncomfortable with it. I love my husband, but I trust you, so you know,
get it together.
So, yeah, and it's just it's really important to think about this from all aspects, riggers, tops, doms, you know, you're going to be susceptible to it too. If you feel like crap after a party, probably is a reason why. Like, you know. So aftercare, really important for everybody. There's an analogy that Misty and I talked about the other night while I was cleaning my room, and I think I'll put it in here. The idea of like, you know, let's say you're going parachuting, right? Or you're jumping out of a plane. The planes are really high in the air, and if you fall straight to the ground, you're going to splat. You know, you're going to be in agony, you know, a lot of pain. You're
going to be dead.
It's a consequence of falling out of a plane, yeah. But if you have a parachute, you're still going to land hard, okay? It's still going to be a rush, but it's going to go slower, you're going to have more support when you get to the ground, and you have a good chance of not being dead after.
Yes.
So I think that's aftercare for me is the parachute. You know, it's that little bit of buffer to help you mitigate some of the severity of the symptoms that you will feel, no matter how self-sufficient or independent you are. And it's important. And even if you're a person who doesn't suffer aftershock, which you may need to check that you're not actually a robot, but
I actually have a story about that from someone who was in one of the chat groups that I was in. He was of the opinion, so he was a sadist, and he was of the opinion that doms only dropped if they had done things that they weren't emotionally equipped to do. So he felt it was like a failing of, you know, the dom being pushed too hard, not just like, he's like, I've never dropped because he's a heavy sadist. So he's like, I never feel any remorse or anything. And I was like, I don't think that's actually true. Like, this is a scientific thing that's been studied based on like what your physiological reactions are to these chemicals.
I think he might have a misunderstanding about what drop is for tops, and that's not uncommon because it's not spoken about nearly enough. And that the symptoms can just be, and for some people, it might be just as limiting as, I just feel a little bit tired today, more tired than I would have. You know, that's, and if that's you, great. I'm glad that your drop is as gentle as it is.
Yeah.
But for others, it's often
more
really intense. And just because you don't get it doesn't mean it doesn't exist or they're lesser than or whatever.
Yes.
And I mean, my rigger is a sadist. My rigger is a massive sadist. He is a sadist of all sadists. You know? He just, every time I play around, he's like, that will come back to you. And I'm like, oh God. So, you know, and even he is susceptible to it. So it doesn't matter how buff or mentally buff a person is, you know, it could happen to you. And if it does, you need to be prepared.
And drop is not a weakness.
Nope. It is a normal human response. I would be more confused and worried about a person if they didn't drop.
I know. I'd be like, are you okay? Did they... I'm not going to insert the nerd thing that just came into my head. We're going to ignore
What was the nerd thing that came into your head? Tell me, what was it?
Oh, you know Francis from Deadpool?
No.
You haven't seen Deadpool because you're a demon who doesn't watch movies.
Well, that is true. I don't watch movies. I don't know about the demon bit, but okay, we'll run with it.
Anyway, Francis in Deadpool gets like, his mutation is that he can't feel pain. And then he's like, but I also can't feel anything at all. And yeah. So I was going to say, I wonder if that person is Francis. All right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Enough nerd crap.
The thing is, if I probably wouldn't feel comfortable playing with somebody that didn't drop. The reason being that I think it's a part of a healthy, balanced human sort of equilibrium to have a sense of remorse after doing something like that.
Yeah,
that's important. If a person that's a top doesn't have that, they might be a narcissist, and I don't want to play with someone who's a narcissist.
Narcissist? You said the nicer word. I was thinking a sociopath, of which I found one on. I found a sociopath on FetLife. It was a very interesting read. Anyway.
What say about it?
Well, he was just like, I'm a sociopath. I am extremely successful in my life because I'm not a stupid sociopath who goes around to murder people. But if I could murder people and get away with it, I totally would. And then like talks about his partner who, God, I don't know how to describe this person either. And then they go on to make fun of people who like are into DS. They're like, I don't need someone telling me what to do. I don't need to tell someone what to do. What's wrong with you people? And I'm like, you're literally a sociopath. Like, I don't know what to tell you here. I'll send you their FetLife. I blocked them right after because I was like, yeah, I don't need that in my life. But anyway, that was a fun little thing that happened.
Bizarre.
So bizarre.
How bizarre.
It was really bizarre. Anyway.
Yeah, I couldn't. I just, like, I like my sadist as much as the next masochist, but they have to be a sadist with a conscience. Otherwise,
they need to be like,
it's just you're putting yourself at risk.
No, this person was literally like, when I start playing, I don't see you as a person. Like, you're just meat. You're a bag of meat. And I was like,
oh, cool.
Okay, well then.
All right. Bye. See you later. You might be a cannibal. But see ya. Yeah, see, that's just not responsible to play with someone like that, in my opinion. Oh, now, you've got to remember that my opinion is that of a squishy little. So, you know, if somebody who was a caregiver was like, you're a bag of meat, I'd be like, how dare you? Yeah. How dare you say that to me? I am just, oh my God, I can't cope. I'd be traumatized.
Well, I suspect that the person that they were playing with was also a sociopath, but in like a different way. So this is totally going off topic, but it was really fascinating to read about someone who's like, yeah, I'm a sociopath. What's the big deal? And I'm extremely smart and because obviously they're narcissists as well. And they're like, I'm extremely smart and extremely successful at everything that I do. And
who wears sociopath like a badge? Like, that's not normal. Let's not normalize this. It's like people who are incels and they want to normalize that. Like, no. Or it goes almost in the same basket for me as, like, people who are like, oh, I'm a no-map. And it's like, ew. Well, you can still off.
That is banned from the... I'm, like, doing the sign of the cross. Like, I don't want that nonsense near me. But anyway.
Just for people that don't know, a no-map is a non-offending...
Wait. Before we destroy your innocence, take this moment to savor it. And then listen to what a no-map is.
A no-map is a non-offending, minor-attracted person. NOMAP. And it's basically the PC term pedophiles have given themselves. And so if you ever see on Tumblr people that are like or no kink, do not interactive kink, or minor supporters, and maps and no maps. So that's what that minor attracted person is. And it's like
they also go by a bunch of different things. I think like kinder clover or something, like some other terms. But
and it's just, it all for me is like narcissists, even though like I wouldn't say a narcissist and a no map are equal in terms of danger. I kind of like, in terms of the type of danger, I definitely still think that I wouldn't play with a sociopath or a narcissist.
Nah. I mean, I might do unknowingly, and then when I find out, I'd be like, I need to shower like 10 times, you know?
But that was like the time you dated a criminal. Like,
okay, well, yeah, it was not my fault. I should have done more background research, but...
And this is why the vetting list that we made is really valuable, because you'll be able to weed out a narcissist or a sociopath or a no-map or a criminal probably quite quickly by asking a lot of questions, because those sorts of people don't like to answer questions about like, no, look, you should just trust me and let's play. Yeah. And if you hear that, it's like, well, guess what? Bye.
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyway, we're tangenting hard. So hard. I'm very tired. So
same. Okay. But just to chat about like an aftercare kit. So this is basically just stuff that you put together that you know is going to make you feel good, and you can have it immediately after you play and also afterwards. So in mine, there is dark chocolate, which I despise, but Daddy's really awesome, and he's like, you have your dark chocolate and then you have something that you like right after, like Sour Patch watermelon or something. So I'll like eat the dark chocolate with my nose blocked so I can't taste it.
And then chase it with Sour Patch.
Really, I'm just like, this is disgusting. And then he won't eat any. And I'm like, you should lead by example.
Exactly. It's very rude.
Yeah, but something sugary is
I actually, too. Yeah. I really like dark chocolate, actually. And I actually started taking some with me now to events and things like that. So.
Well done. I'm proud of you. And I wish I had your taste buds, but it's so disgusting to me. But yeah, that's why we couldn't record, because I didn't prepare enough. I didn't have my aftercare kit. I didn't have any dark chocolate available.
Drop city bitch, drop city bitch. Uh-oh.
Are we getting cracked out? We probably are. So
I might be getting cracked out.
We should probably wrap this up soon.
But no, that was last week. I was in serious drop. We had a workshop followed by a party. all-day workshop of intense Shibari partials, which was a lot of like predicament partials. So it wasn't like full bondage, but it was like, you're going to be uncomfortable, and if you squirm that way, you're also going to be uncomfortable. So I guess choose your uncomfortability. And that was a real mindfuck. So I just was like wrecked from a whole day of that, and then a party that night. And that's a lot of socializing and vulnerability and stuff, and I just was down for the count for like 4 days after, because it was just so much. So it happens to the best of us, and also the worst of us.
So I guess we'll wrap up the episode. If we do end up doing a whole episode on aftercare, we'll let you guys know.
I don't think we really need it. I think we've made the point about how
and there are so many. I'll try to link some resources in the show notes about aftercare as well, so that we don't have to beat a dead horse.
Gross.
It is a bit gross, hey? So yeah, thank you guys for. Did you have anything else to say, Lace?
No, I want to go eat spaghetti. So.
Oh, yum.
Yeah.
What did you make it?
Spaghetti.
Is it spag bowl?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That old spag bowl. I'm really excited.
I want some spag bowl.
Well, you go eat your pizza. I'm going to eat my spaghetti. Thank you guys so much for listening. And if you have any questions, if we've touched on anything that you want to have a bit of further clarification about, or if you just want to talk to somebody about this, please hit us up on our socials. Email us with candykingdom@gmail.com.
And everywhere else. So we hope you have a sweet week, and we will catch you next time, Candy. Bye.
Bye.